Hey guys, Fox here. I got tagged for a top 10 video games of all time, or top 10 favorite video games of all time, by Mr. Wegaman. I'll put his link in the description. Great YouTuber. We have very similar tastes in games, and went through apparently very similar childhoods regarding video games, that is. So I put together 10 games. Mind you, this list is constantly changing for me, so if you see variations from previous lists, it's okay. It always changes. It all depends on what my mood is of the day. But this is a top 10 favorite games of all time for me as far as December 2021 goes. So let's go ahead and get it started, and we're going to start off with Tecmo Super Bowl on the NES. This was probably my favorite NES game, especially growing up. I played this non-stop. I must have played 50 different seasons through this game. Was a borderline pro at it. Could, finish the season undefeated with almost any team. So, absolutely love this game. Probably my favorite sports game of all time. And I think a lot of people can see that. So my number 10 would be Tecmo Super Bowl. Number 9 is a classic. This has a lot of nostalgia feels to it, but I think it also holds a candle to how great it is for a lot of people, and it's no surprise on the PlayStation. It is Final Fantasy VII. This was the first game I bought with my very first paycheck from my very first job. I went to a used game store and bought a PlayStation and a used copy of Final Fantasy VII because I always wanted to play it. I played it a couple years after release, but I was very excited to get it and played through it many times before Final Fantasy VII, or 8 rather, came out. Not much to say. You all know how this game is. I think it is very important in history. The game is still pretty good, even though it doesn't look the best nowadays with its polygon characters, but I just still think this game is a fantastic story and really good characters, and it's fantastic. That was my number 9. Number 8, we're going to go back to the Super Nintendo era. And I discovered this game by loaning it from a friend's brother who owned it, and absolutely fell in love with it. And I think this game is still great. Still fantastic today. Fantastic battle system. Chrono Trigger. Love the art, because back in the day we were first discovering Dragon Ball, so we saw this artwork and we're like, oh, Akira Toriyama, so cool. It had one of the most unique and cool battle systems where you have like dual tech moves and triple tech moves where it uses multiple characters in your party to do an extra powerful move. Thought it was really cool. Playing a game, especially that had multiple endings, different ways to beat the game, and a fantastic soundtrack. I didn't know soundtracks could get this good. But then I discovered that a lot of soundtracks for RPGs on the Super Nintendo were good, because after I beat this, I borrowed Final Fantasy VI from him, Earthbound, so I played a lot of really good RPGs on the Super Nintendo, and this is just one that holds, I think is the better of the three, personally. I know a lot of people will say, Final Fantasy VI, and some people will say Earthbound, and that's fine. They're all fantastic. But that's my number 8. Number 7 is still on the Super Nintendo, and is my personal favorite in the series. It was between this and the Game Boy entry, so it's A Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. This is my favorite Zelda, but it's very close to Link's Awakening on the Game Boy. But I remember, yet again, borrowing this game. I didn't have a lot of games that I actually personally owned when I was a kid, but I borrowed this from the neighbor and just loved it. Played and played and played and played. Love the soundtrack. It's just one of the perfect Zelda games to me. Link's Awakening is very close, only because that has a lot of nostalgia memories for me, being one of the first Game Boy games I got for Christmas and all that. But I don't know, I think I just barely like this one a little bit more. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, number 6. I lose count because I don't have anything written down, so I'm doing this off the cuff. This is more of a modern game, and I'm picking the last game in the series, but I really like to hold the whole series as one, and that is the Trails of Cold Steel. So here's 4. I have never played such a grand, epic story in a video game, personally. Not something as big as The Legend of Heroes, and specifically the Trails of Cold Steel. Later in the future, I will be playing, of course, the Crossbell games and the other ones in the series as well, once they get English released here, which they are, which is fantastic. But Cold Steel put together so many fantastic characters that all grew up through their time in the series. Big political storyline, lots of war, lots of turmoil. I can't think of a game that I would sit there and play back to back 100-hour games where the story held me so well. I just can't get over it. I think I loved every single character. There might be a couple that I was just like, but they all played their place very well in this series. And this is not to mention how good the combat system in this game is. It is fantastic. Arguably probably one of the best JRPG combat systems out there right now. So yeah, number 6 goes to Trails of Cold Steel. And for number 5 is a game that's always on my list. It's constantly going up and down on the list, but it's always there. So this is a spur of the moment game that I did purchase. And when I was just roaming a Best Buy, I was looking for a new game to play. And this was the one I chose, and absolutely love this game and still love it to this day. And that's Grandia on the PlayStation 1. One of the best coming of age stories in a game that I've personally ever played, that I prefer. And a fantastic battle system. Oh, look at this lovely crack in this PlayStation game. I got to replace that. But it was a battle system, the ATB system, that actually spawned quite a few variations to this battle system, because it is quite good and still pretty damn good to this day. I love all the characters in this game. So much fun. They're so heartwarming. It's charming. A feel-good story of a game. Always makes me smile. Love it. Play it. I don't know how many times I've played through this game. I gotta be between 8 and 10. I've revisited every once in a while, and it had the nice HD collection that was brought out. Limited Run did some, and PlayAsia sells an English version of this as well for the HD collection, which includes 2. Both fantastic games, but I love Grandia 1. Number 4 is a game that I keep returning to. It is fantastic. I play it all the time. Even to this day, it's been out for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, something like that. I think it's 5 years. I'm still playing, actually, one to right now. That is Stardew Valley. I would say this is the best farming sim game out there. Yes, better than Harvest Moon, which is what the creator, Eric Barone, otherwise known as Concerned Ape, was influenced by, was the old Harvest Moon games when he made this. So this game was originally made by one person, Eric Barone, as I mentioned, and he did everything in it. He programmed, he did the music, all the graphic design, and everything. It's just so well made. It's so much fun. You can do different ways you want to do the farm. You don't even have to focus on farming. You could do animals, you could do mining in the mines, you could do combat. There's a whole town full of people that you can get to know. You can get married to either sex. It's not limited there. You can do whatever you pretty much want, and you just relax and tend to your farm or do whatever else you want in the mines. It's just so much fun. There's events, there's different places to go, different areas to unlock, to visit, and to do even more stuff. I love this game. I absolutely adore it, and will probably always be playing this game. I own it on so many different platforms. I just can't get enough of it. So number 4, Stardew Valley. Number 3, Sega Saturn game. This one always makes my list too, because I just love this game. I love the strategic combat, just the planning. I like the characters, the story. It's so good. Dragon Force for the Sega Saturn. One of my all-time favorites. I remember playing this at a buddy's house growing up. Working Designs release, as you can see down there as I fix the glare. I always go back and play this game. Probably every couple years I'll play through it and just have a ton of fun. You pretty much take control of a kingdom, and as you are a part of this kingdom, you move troops between castles. You take over castles through a battle environment where you take control of the general and his troops, and there are all kinds of different troops to use. Some troops are stronger against others, so you got to make those plans. And there's different things that affect battle, like the environment that you're in, or if you are holding a castle, you get an advantage over the attackers. There's all kinds of stuff to do. The generals have special abilities, and then if you guys run out of troops, you can go into a duel between the generals. It's quite good. You capture enemy generals. You can try to convince them to join your forces, and then if you take kingdom leaders, you have to convince them to join you, and then you get a much larger part of the story, which I will not spoil, but it's right up my alley. I love strategy, tactical style games, but I think this is the only strategy tactical one that's actually on this list, although there are tons that I love. So yeah. Oops, bumped the camera there. Number 3 is Dragon Force. Number 2, another modern release. You guys shouldn't be surprised if you watch my channel why this game's on my list. Absolutely adore this game and all of the characters in it. As you can see, there's a running trend with me. I really must like the characters, and I must see the characters grow and be attached to a very good large story. And no other game really does it better than this one, and that is Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal. I flip-flop between which one I like a little bit more, between the original release and the Royal, but I can't get enough of these characters. They make me so happy. They're like friends. You get so attached to them. The story is deep, and it can be quite dark with some of the characters in the game. The music, fantastic. Basic, your typical SMT style combat, where you take on personas, and then you can demon fuse and use different personas. Your party members are stuck with their specific persona, but that's okay. You can swap out, and there's actually a decent amount of party members. The Royal adds some new story elements and a new character, which is her right there, Kasumi. It's just so good. I like all the characters. That's why I keep buying figures and statues for this game. I love them all. I like reasons to revisit this game, to replay it, and was very excited to play Persona 5 Strikers, which was just pretty much a continuation of the story from the original Persona 5 release. You got to see them do a road trip around Japan. So, so good. I love these guys so much. That's why it's number 2. Number 1. I think this has been consistently my number 1 for many, many, many years, 10 plus years. So shouldn't be too much of a surprise. I love playing it. I can't wait to be given a reason to play it again. I've beaten it many, many times on the hardest difficulties. I've played the HD release of it, which is weird because it's already HD. I guess it's called the collection. But Bioshock. This is an original release with the slipcover and sealed, by the way. When it comes to my favorite games, I tend to buy all the variants that I can. But anyway, Bioshock. I don't think there's another game where its atmosphere plays so well to the story. Being in Rapture is just amazing. It blows me away. I've never played a game where it was so well done with the underwater atmosphere of a falling city. I love it so much, and I think that's the biggest reason I love this game. I don't tend to play a ton of first-person shooters because I typically find that I'm not very good at them, but Bioshock is different. I love it. I seem to be pretty good at it, and I just love all the enemies. They are matched so well to the aesthetics of what's going on, what has happened to Rapture, why it is the way it is, how a big dream for an amazing society ended up being just a overall a bad idea because of how well separated it is from the rest of the world. The ideas of what Andrew Ryan created was amazing and awful at the same time. It's so cool. I love Bioshock. I can't think. This would be definitely part of the handful of games I would take with me if something were to happen. Alright guys, that's my top 10. Thanks Wegaman for tagging me in this, and now I gotta think of who I'm going to tag, and I have no idea. So I don't know who's already been tagged or not, but I'm gonna just start whipping out names because I think everybody in YouTube who's a gamer has been starting to get tagged by this top 10 favorite video games of all time. So let me go ahead and blast. Let's go ahead and hit DMP, Devil May Pie. Who else should I hit? Leo's already done it, the funny nerd. So does VG Mashup. There's tons of people who have already done this. You know what? Let's go throw Manboy Cave into the mix. I'm only going to throw out 2 names. So let's do Devil May Pie and Manboy Cave. You guys are getting thrown under the bus here. You don't have to do it. I don't care, honestly. But top 10 favorite games of all time. Thanks for watching.